Well, Michael, the audience is here. I recommend we get rolling, and Shai at some point can join us in our conversation.
Okay, I'll
Awesome.
try.
So my name is Andrew Weiner, Vice President here at MEXC Global, and you're listening to Change on Chain. Today we have two guests from the Silver of the Future KAS project. It's Michael Sutton and Shai Warborski. Michael, kindly introduce yourself to our audience. Give them a little bit of your background in crypto.
Um, Kaspa is my first crypto project. I come from academia. Um, I've been a part of the group which wrote Kaspa for the last more or less 4 years until we launched like 1 year ago. Um, and during these 4 years, I've been doing ongoing research, consensus related research, distributed systems, and involved as a developer for Kaspa. And lately, I'm leading the development of the rewrite project of Kaspa in the Rust programming language. Um, and also a co-author of the recent DAG Knight paper.
Very excellent. Now, our audience is very curious as a developer in today's landscape of all the different places you could go and apply your trade and develop for businesses like Amazon, Google, and so on. What drew you to blockchain? What was it about Casper, the cryptocurrency industry, that made you want to work?
Oh, it's an interesting question. Um, I think first and foremost, meeting Yonatan Sompolinsky, um, hashtag, also known as hashtag, and reading his research um, and seeing, I really, like appreciated the breakthrough and the depth, and we kind of knew each other very briefly from university, like from meeting at the hallways, but briefly speaking here and there. But when it came to join the company building Kaspa, I was going through his research and really impressed by the layers and the incremental steps he made through starting from Bitcoin and trying to improve and scale it further and further until at that point, I think that was 2019. That was like the Phantom Ghost paper where I was introduced to. It really seemed like interesting to me to join a group trying to make a cryptocurrency, a layer one cryptocurrency, which scales and could be really used as a payment system, um, a very fast payment system. So I kind of was interested in that. I came from before that. I used to. I wasn't too much involved with crypto, but I dealt with systems and distributed systems and high performance computing systems. So I wasn't like too far away, but this took me to Kaspa.
It is probably the most efficient innovation in computing that we're going to see in our lifetime, potentially. And I myself was inspired similarly to joining the crypto industry by a chance encounter with Andreas Antonopoulos, who wrote an excellent book called Mastering Bitcoin that captured my temperature and feelings about the economy and the financial system in a way that really no one had articulated before. So, like I kind of leaned into a bit of knowledge from somebody that I had met, and it really drew me deeper into what is now a full-fledged life of crypto. I love the community that we have, that there are people out there building excellent products, delivering unique and efficient services that are just so open to bringing more people to the table to create more mobility and velocity in the development of a project and its roadmap. So thank you for sharing that with everybody on the call today, because we're always curious, why crypto in a landscape where technology is in every facet of every industry, and it's so important to have skills like coding and development, that you would pick something that was.
So I can add one more sentence. Like, first of all, the decentralized vision appeals to me. And also, to me as a scientist and a researcher in computer science, it's a very interesting place where you can prove completely theoretical stuff, and they have direct application as being secure so it's not even like something like machine learning where you need to where you engineer the algorithms and they become useful. Here, the pure theory is what gives the system its security. So I found that very interesting for me.
They are actually smart contracts, so to speak. I think that you've captured the sentiment of our audience as well. And it looks like Yonatan has joined the call. Hi, Yonatan. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Yonatan. I'm a postdoc at Harvard University. Previously, I was a PhD student at the university. I was the originator of Kaspa through DAG Labs, which was founded around 2018. What else? My research in computer science was throughout on the topic of scaling Nakamoto consensus. It started with Ghost Protocol, which entered the white paper of Ethereum, but not much more than that. And in my PhD, together with my advisor, Zohar, we developed the block DAG paradigm, which essentially is asynchronous consensus in a proof of work setting. I'm happy to answer more questions. Let me know.
Well, now that we have you and Shai's just joined from the team as well, it looks like we've got a full house. Let's give Shai a chance to introduce himself now that he has speaking credentials. Hi, Shai. Please let the audience know a bit about you and your background.
Hello. I'm glad that you all can hear me now. So my background is mostly mathematics. I don't know how I found myself in computer science. Especially, I don't know how I find myself in crypto. I like theory and I like abstract things. And I guess that's what drew me in. I never imagined myself I'd have a career in crypto before I met Yonatan, because honestly, I kind of lost hope that this technology would be very fruitful. And Yonatan managed to convince me. He showed me the Phantom protocol. It took me a while to get convinced, but at some point I said to myself, hey, this works. And so I decided to come on board and join. And ever since then, just I let this decision lead my life. And here we are.
Here on Change Unchained, we really like to scratch below the surface. And at the surface of crypto, there's a lot to be skeptical about. There's a lot of use cases and applications that people simply are not familiar with, or they are not household conversations in their home. So like you, there's many people on this call today who are going to learn a bit about Kaspa and perhaps have their own conviction in a new project that they would like to participate in. So we really appreciate you three giving us your time and joining. And I have some questions for you from the audience, which any of you can take at any time in any order. I'm going to go ahead and get us started here with the first audience question. What is Kaspa?
Do you want me to take it?
Go ahead.
Shai, if you're ready, please go ahead.
Okay, so Kaspa, if you're technically speaking, then Kaspa is an implementation of the Ghost DAG protocol, but I don't think it's an interesting description. Kaspa is the first technology to achieve two things. One is technical and one is more principled. First of all, I think it's pretty much the only or maybe only large proof of work technology which is completely community driven. We don't have any pre-mine or any ICO or any allocation. We created this technology and released it into the wild without taking much for ourselves, which I think puts us in a unique position. Other than that, it implements Yonatan's and Aviv's brilliant protocol, which allows us to fully scale and fully solve the trilemma, both in the sense of being able to increase the throughputs very, very much without requiring sharding or any other limiting aspects, just have one state which grows very, very fast. And also we can scale down confirmation times, which has never been achieved in a proof of work before. So I think this combination of being also being able to provide very, very useful and reactive and high volume system and having the currency behind it belong to the people are the two features that together make Kaspa unique.
That has been a common choke point in systems prior to Kaspa, where clearing, settlement, confirmation, all of these processes were kind of the longest steps in your workflow or your user journey of receiving a minted asset or transferring that asset in the secondary market. So protocols and projects that reduce processing at different points of the transaction or user journey are incredibly helpful. Are there any additional efficiencies brought on by the Kaspa project that Michael or Yonatan might want to add here?
In the base protocol, I suppose we covered the main efficiencies. Speed is first and foremost, throughput is secondary. There are additional benefits to DAG. I wouldn't put them under the umbrella of efficiency, just benefits for the DAG technology. One of them is higher degree of decentralization due to the higher frequency of block creation. So in Bitcoin, when you create one block per 10 minutes, there are solo mining, or even you need to have, even for pool mining, you need to have a significant hash rate. Whereas in DAG, currently 1 block per second, in the future 8 and north, you have much more frequent block creation, which means much more granular mining. This is one aspect, and it's not only theoretical. As Shai mentioned in Twitter, I think today, Kaspa is in fact more decentralized after 1 year than perhaps even Bitcoin was after 1 year. We have a very large community and very diverse set of miners. We are trying to push one mining pool to be much smaller, but this is one additional benefit of that. Whether I can think of another thing that under the umbrella of efficiency, I can't.
Now, tell us more about the community. You have a lot of them in the audience today, and you have a lot of the Mexi Global community who's been very curious about Kaspa, as it is trending across social media and on many of the charting sites. What can you tell us about how you built this community and what's important to them?
Yeah, so the community was built, let's start from the beginning. The beginning was through a for-profit entity that I co-founded 2018, and that was seed funded by Polychain and others. The values of the project were from the outset around proof of work and making sure that the system is highly decentralized. And at the end of the process, we converged on the good and old fair launch model. At which this was the point at which I dissolved DAG Labs and we launched the mainnet of Kaspa. As every community began with a small community, we had no textbooks how to run it. Was basically Shai can tell you more about the early community management, but I can say that Kaspa had from the outset a very high portion of technical folks and people that are interested in the technology. There's a known truism in crypto that 99% of the community cares about the token price, basically. So I guess in Kaspa it's much below it. Even if it's 95%, it's a 5x improvement. So this is something that's very very central in Kaspa, very unique. You can think of Kaspa in a more higher perspective. There, once in a few years, so it seems in crypto, there's a new proof of work, pure proof of work community. It began, of course, with Bitcoin, and then there was Litecoin, Monero, Grin. If you remember the Grin launch, which was praised and then was viewed as very faithful to the launching. Discuss its failures later. So we figured, Kaspa is the next thing in this list, and the community grew much faster than we imagined, and there's lots of participation, lots of different initiatives, and in terms of what the community cares about, I think Michael can be a better speaker.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. Now, before we get to Michael's thoughts on the question, let's let our audience know that's new to Kaspa, where can they become a part of this community today? Where can they find, anywhere on social media or any community forums that they could join? If you would please plug the link.
Sure. Well, I guess for me, it's less convenient to paste the link now, but I suppose someone will do it. There's Telegram. Sorry?
Yeah, the main hub is Discord.
Yeah, so the main two channels are, the main place for the community is Discord. There's lots of channels. There's research, development, general, lots of initiatives, many languages, many help channels in many languages. So indeed, Discord is the main hub. There is also a Telegram channel, which is maybe less aimed at less quality information, more of a Telegram type of community hub. But yeah, Discord is the main place to go and participate. And I suppose someone can paste the link shortly.
Thank you, Yonatan. And now, Michael, we'd love to know more about the Kaspa community and kind of what it is they're like, what it is they value. Give us some more insight into the community.
I'll try to describe maybe the first days. At the beginning, for the first month or two, basically all core members, all the founders, you would say, like Shai, we all answered endless questions, technical questions every day. I could have been, when I didn't need to fix bugs and do development, I was constantly on Discord. And to compare now, I don't need to be around. I go around to participate, but people already learned and wrote wikis and websites and many tools, and all the knowledge is already scaled and out there. And it's very nice to see it, a real community developed. So that to me is a nice indication of how the community grew. Another thing is many tools. Today we have a Block Explorer website, which was developed by a community developer all alone on his initiative. He asked us many questions, but things are just happening beyond our reach. Just happened. I think Shai can add something to that as well.
Yeah, if I can say something about the Kaspa community, it's purely amazing. Like, we released this project, we released the mainnet, and we didn't have much to work with on our own. And people just realized the potential of the project, and I guess they saw value in us and a team, and I just joined, made things happen. Without people that came from the community, people we didn't know before, we wouldn't know how to get listed, for example. And people from the community taught us how to raise awareness to ourselves without like $1 million budget, and how to be noticed, and how to approach people and let them know that we are here and we are doing something different. The website and the mining pool and the wallet and even the GPU miner, they were all community efforts, which is kind of amazing, because there was no guarantee of payoff at any point. People just believed in us, and that's, I think, what I found most empowering about this community, is just that it's not just us who believe in Kaspa. There are hundreds, thousands, I don't know, maybe even tens of thousands of people at this point who believe in Kaspa so much to contribute to it and drive it forward. And that's, I think, what I love about this community the most, and what I think is most amazing about it. They taught us, I think, a lot more than we taught them, though they might disagree, but this is how I feel.
Well, this is something I noticed about your community very early on in the project, is that you may be right. There are tens of thousands of potential tweets and impressions pretty much any given day about Kaspa. And ever since we started featuring projects and meeting closer with the project owners and developers behind some of the listings at Mexi, Kaspa, I think, is the #1 request that we've received in the past month. So I'm so happy that we were able to put this together and have you guys on. And thank you for sharing those insights into how you made such a strong community that is so vocal. But let's now move ahead to some more audience questions here. And Michael, Yonatan, I believe this one would be for either of you. What do you think makes Kaspa so unique compared to other protocols?
Who is this to? To me?
It can be. It's for the team.
I think it's for Yonatan.
Sure. So it's simply, think of it like this. It's the first protocol, proof of work protocol, that alleviates limitations on the scalability that are imposed by the consensus protocol. So in Bitcoin, the consensus protocol itself imposes a limitation on the scalability or on the speed because of the need to keep blocks in a chain. So you have to have the block creation rate slower than the latency, basically. And the block DAG paradigm, and specifically the protocols that we devised within it, are the first, and if I may test, I test the best protocols that alleviate these limitations. So you can scale the protocol to whatever block creation rate you want, to whatever block size you want, and your considerations may be hardware, maybe full node sync, whatever your considerations are. The consensus protocol will work with these considerations. You don't need to limit your scalability or your any other system design in order to comply with the consensus protocol requirements. So you can think of it as first we're deciding how we want the system to perform, and then the consensus protocol adapts to it and or is adapted to it and performs accordingly. So this is the main achievement of the block DAG. The main achievement of these protocols, of the Ghost DAG protocol, later on of DAG Knight. These protocols simply allow you to scale to whatever performance you want without the consensus protocol imposing any limitation.
And with these efficiencies, confirmation times are important, high BPS important. Why though? Well, why are these factors so critical in scaling?
You see what happened well, first of all, from a UX perspective, having first confirmation, instant confirmation is quite basic. If you think about internet in the 2000s, I mean, today to have in 2020, to need to wait for a few minutes or more than a few seconds for a confirmation of your payment is horrible UX. And you see what happened in Bitcoin. The Lightning Network was supposed to solve also this, also the scalability, but also the speed, and it didn't work that well for reasons that we can go into. But it seems that having first confirmation on chain is very, very healthy for developing, for a good UX and for developing certain applications. That's how I would frame it.
And I would agree. I think we have enough examples and case studies now from previous projects to know that processing time and anything that improves the velocity in which we're transacting, whether it's P2P or even via a secondary market, is crucial to creating the incentives of blockchain and doubling down on the fact that this is more efficient than a SWIFT system and similar. So you've got my attention. Now, the next question from the audience is relative to... Oh, I'm sorry, Shai, go ahead.
I would like to add something to the answer of the previous question, though, about the importance of high BPS, because I think apart from the user experience, it also has major consequences on decentralization in at least two ways. One of them is in mining. If you're a miner and you have some fraction of the network, the amount of time you will wait, the expected amount of time you will wait before you see a reward is directly proportional or inversely proportional to the block rates. I mean, if you have more blocks, then the same amount of price gets divided among more people and they will have to wait less. So you wouldn't have to wait for years and decades for a return on investment, but only days or hours if you have the same fraction than you would have on Bitcoin. So this is one thing, like solo mining requires much less of an entry barrier to be profitable in any way. And another way is the affordability of using the chain, because as the block rewards diminish, the fees for transaction become more and more meaningful in securing the network and in actually funding it. And if you have a network which produces like dozens of transactions per second, then using it would be very expensive. Even if you go to a service provider, like in the Lightning Network, there is a huge service provider which settles transactions for a lot of people, they would still have to pay a lot of money to create and to close the channel. And this also decreases with the block rates, with the amount of transactions you can put in every second. So these two things, like mining, more spread mining and affordability of using the chain, I think are very, very important in the long run for any blockchain, proof of work blockchain to be sustainable.
And I must pay your team the compliment, because our audience is picking up on this, that you gentlemen are bringing a lot of integrity with your answers. And we appreciate how truthful you're being on this call today. I haven't heard anything selling Kaspa. Everything's been very informational and educational, and the audience is responding in the comments accordingly. The next question I have refers to something that was mentioned a bit earlier in the call. What is Dagnite?
Michael, I believe this one is all yours.
All mine and Yonatan's. What is Dagnite? Dagnite is a new paper. It was out almost a month ago, exactly at the 31st of October, which was exactly the date by chance, by complete chance, it was exactly the date Bitcoin paper was released 14 years ago. So Dag Knight is a paper we worked on for almost 3 years in the background, on and off, me and Yonatan. Yonatan is my advisor, but more than an advisor. To the best of our knowledge, it's the first protocol, proof of work protocol, which is 50% resilient and also parameterless, meaning it doesn't need to assume a delay bound. It relies on the fact that there is some unknown delay bound, but the protocol does not need to know it. Unlike Bitcoin or GhostDAG or any other proof of work protocol today. For instance, in Bitcoin, the block rate is suppressed as a function of a known delay. And in GhostDAG, you need to set a parameter called K in order for the protocol to operate. So this means the fact that the protocol level doesn't need to know this parameter means that we can scale confirmation times to the actual latency of the internet. And we don't depend on a priori assumptions we needed to make for safety. So there's no need for a safety margin. So this means we can, if theoretically we have a DAG producing block, say 1 per second or even 10 per second, but in a future internet, latency would be like sub-seconds or 1 millisecond for the example. So the DAG structure you will see is going to be a chain, and Dag Knight will approve transactions after 6 chain blocks, which come in a sub-second interval. So that's the meaning of scaling to the actual latency. And it's also like GhostDAG that was mentioned before. But GhostDAG is unique because it's a simple generalization of Nakamoto consensus. And Dag Knight is also in some sense a generalization of Nakamoto consensus. GhostDAG generalizes Nakamoto if you set specifically the parameter K to 0, it becomes equivalent to defining a chain. But Dag Knight would dynamically in real time act as Nakamoto consensus under some network conditions. So I think that gives some picture.
Maybe I can add or summarize Michael's great description. That just recall how Bitcoin and any other blockchain works. There's a certain block interval, and this block interval is correlated to the network latency. So the system assumes some latency in the network, and this in Bitcoin is 10 minutes. In Ethereum, I believe it was 12 or 14 seconds. And this implies that. So how do the core devs decide these parameters? They sit down before mainnet launch, and they say, okay, in the worst case, the network, the internet or our network, say Ethereum network, will suffer from a delay of 8 seconds. Let's take some safety margin. Okay, 12 seconds will suffice for block delays. This is the sort of reasoning when Bitcoin was devised, with a 10 minutes parameter, but also any other blockchain, including Kaspa, currently Kaspa. I believe we took K equals 18 to correspond to delay of 5 or 10 seconds. Michael will correct me on that.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
5 seconds. So you understand. So this has 2 problems. With the 5 seconds is problematic twofold. One is because the confirmation time is then at best 5 seconds, and in the reverse direction, if the network latency is much worse for some reason, then the protocol is unsafe. So Dag Knight solves both. It addresses both problems. On the one hand, the protocol is safe even when the network is very unhealthy, and you don't need to know in advance these parameters. And on the other hand, when the network is very smooth, you can confirm transactions immediately. So if you look at it externally, when we will upgrade to Dag Knight, you won't see in the code any parameter that assumes some latency or that discusses latency. You will see a parameterless code base, so to speak.
Very informative, and honestly a lot there that I haven't heard of any other projects trying to solve similar problems. So it sounds like you're well into the innovation cycle. And this comes with a great question from our audience. I'm going to take one of the Q&As here from Twitter. At Moon GameFi asks, are there any benefits for long-term holders of the KAS token?
Well, our hope is that Kaspa will sooner rather than later become a standardized medium of exchange. So the benefits would be any other benefits that you have from holding money. I am not a price guy. I'm not an investor guy. I don't know if you can think of it as a sound investment. I just think that if everything pans out, then holding Kaspa would mean that you could buy things.
All we can say
All we
is
can
that
say is that
we're going to
we're
aim
going
at
to aim at
being
being
technologically.
technologically.
I hear myself.
Hear myself.
Yonatan, mute, please.
Yonatan, mute, please.
Yeah, so I know we can do our best to continue our technological improvement and being rightfully from the technology perspective and at the top 10 or 5 or 3. So if we do our side, I hope the finance systems will do their side.
Now, the next question from the audience, and this is building further on some of the previous ones. At Rebecca_Molly asks, do you have a strategy to bring non-crypto natives into the Kaspa ecosystem in the future? Yonatan.
I have an answer. I don't understand if it was addressed directly to Yonatan.
Well, no problem, Shai. I apologize, please.
Yes. Well, I think we should think about why people got diverted away from crypto in the first place, because Bitcoin for a while was a big deal and everyone was talking about it, and then it kind of faded, and it like only the core fans hung around, and people kind of moved on. And I think the main reason for it is essentially that it wasn't performant enough. It wasn't useful. People really adored the idea of decentralized money, but Bitcoin couldn't hold the load. And I think that Kaspa could, and maybe that alone suffices for people to notice, hey, we have this digital Bitcoin-like money. I don't know how it's different internally, but it's fast and it works, and we can actually use it. So it's very, very interesting, and we'll grab some attention back from people outside. And as an example, I can point out that we recently got approved on the crypto checkout, I believe they're called, and they provide a service for paying with cryptocurrencies. And there is currently, as far as I know, a single merchant in the entire world which accepts Kaspa as payment. It's a coffee roaster. It's called Brand 425 Coffee. And this is the only crypto that they got, as in, they weren't into crypto before that. They liked the project and they decided they get Kaspa, and it's the only crypto they get, which is nice because it's essentially someone from outside who decided to give a try to crypto because they saw that Kaspa works well. And from what I hear, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I've heard that he's been getting tons of business since this decision. It just comes to demonstrate again just how fantastic our community is.
And further to that, every company in this space needs a very strong sense of community, of which your project has done a great job of building one. Some members of our audience are curious, is there an ambassador program for Kaspa in the platform?
No ambassador program. It just happens. People become ambassadors, like, in effect. They connect I mean, the way we got to MEXC was all by a strategy of a guy named Freshman. I mean, he built the way to get to a larger exchange like you. People are doing videos, people are doing websites, just happening. So we don't have an ambassador program.
Understood. Thank you for the answer. Now, the next question is regarding security. Now, we know that smart contracts in our industry can be prone to bugs. Currently, there's some rewrites on the code at Kaspa. Can you tell us a bit about how effective and secure your contracts are and who the auditors are?
There are no smart contracts yet on Kaspa. Kaspa is focused on being a UTXO model payment system. We have future plans for smart contracts, which we can address questions about, but it seems like from the question that the person who asked thinks that there are smart contracts already, right?
Yes. So please educate the audience, because this question is coming from somebody new to the call. Tell them more about smart contracts or the plan for them.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, and as the title of this session indicates, we're first and foremost a fast payment system. And we plan to scale that further with the Rust project going out. Plan to go to sub-second block time, 8, 16, maybe even 30. Around smart contract, we had, it's not something new to us. We had put some time into thinking about it in the past. Before mainnet launch, we had an internal research project investigating various trade-offs around smart contracts. Like in our block speed and block rates, we would not like to have many smart contract transactions which each take a lot of time to compute. So we were looking at off-chain solutions like Arbitrum, the design of Arbitrum over Ethereum. So we were looking at a way to bridge such a solution over Kaspa. There are many things to consider. It's still a little bit early because as a core member, I'm currently focused on rewriting the system for high performance and on DAG-Knight research and applying it. And smart contracts we should get there. There's a lot of thought. We have a channel at Discord for discussing and brainstorming smart contracts. A lot of smart people from the Ethereum ecosystem joined and voiced their opinions. But still in the brainstorming stage and on the thinking stage. There are many things like unique to DAGs that can be utilized, for instance, or are a challenge sometimes. For instance, in a DAG, we currently support parallel transaction verification, which is relatively easy in the UTXO model, but is harder in a smart contract design like Ethereum has. Another opportunity is facing MEV challenges through the DAG structure. There are a few ideas in this regard. I'm not going to go into them now, but there's a lot to think about and utilize. So we're looking forward to that.
And I just want to add on top of that, as more of a general comment. I think there is some impression that because Kaspa didn't launch with smart contracts, it means that we didn't consider them. We just launched our UTXO transaction system and we're like, okay, we will figure it out later. But that's very far from the truth. I just want to shine a very bright light on something that was a bit hidden in Michael's answer, that a lot before mainnet even launched, before we even chose the name Kaspa, we gave tremendous amounts of thought about how smart contracts could be implemented and made decisions which would enable us to implement them better and easier down the road. It's just because we don't have them now doesn't mean we didn't consider what's required to implement them from day one.
And thank you for that clarity. The audience would love to kind of know what is next? What is the immediate next step in your current development roadmap? What can we expect from the Kaspa team before the end of this year, or perhaps in the first quarter of next year?
So in the ecosphere, there is a mobile wallet development process which should end end of year, and also ongoing discussions with ledger support, which I can't say much about. I don't know enough about it. I don't know. In the core technology, it's well known, and we just published numbers of benchmarking the performance of the new. We rewrote complete the whole consensus engine in the Rust programming language, which is a much more high performance oriented language than the current Golang code base. And essentially the numbers are astonishing because we got performance also from moving to Rust and making a lot of micro optimizations, but also from introducing a parallel processing model. We moved everything from being sequential to being parallel, and the DAG structure allows a lot of utilization of parallelization. So for instance, for benchmark, we tested the numbers were like, in the Go code, it took 23 minutes, and the Rust code did it in 48 seconds, which is almost 30 times faster. And other benchmarks show that we can scale block rate, block per second of the network to up to around 30 with current performance, from 1 to around 30, which is very interesting if we want to like maximize the speed of the network and reduce mining variance even further. So we're not going to do that in one step, but we got the numbers and the performance supporting us, and we're going to gradually increase the block rate of the system to where it's best. So that should be in like development of the core node should end in a month or two, and then deploying it step by step. So we're expecting a version at least the end of Q1.
And with the community in the audience here in the audience of Mexi, what can they do to help or participate to make this an even greater success than it already is as you move forward?
I guess we need all the help we can get. And we are a community project, so stronger community means that the project is better driven. Join us, engage in the discussions, help us make the project known to everyone, study it, understand it, see what we are doing here and why we believe in it so much, and just become a part of us, because in a community project, the stronger and larger and more engaging the community is, the better the project becomes.
And you can find Kaspa on Discord at the link we've posted at Mexi_NA. You can also find them at Twitter at Kaspa Currency on Twitter. Shai, Michael, Yonatan, we've reached the end of the questions. We really appreciate you taking time in your busy schedules to pay some attention to the audience. Here's some of these questions. Give everybody a better sense of Kaspa, the Ghost DAG, proof of work, and what makes scalable, fast, decentralized systems so critical for the ecosystem of crypto and the future of quick payment processing. Is there any parting thoughts you want to leave with the audience? Shai, we'll start with you. The floor is yours.
I believe I've spoken quite a lot already. I just want to say again how awesome our community is. Like, thank you. Thank you so much. This last year has been so exciting just because of you.
Thank you, Shai. Michael?
I can only say that, yes, the last lines of Shai express my feelings. People are just amazing and joining and really supporting us and believing. So we're going to do our best. And so are we. I loved it that the other day a guy joined the Discord, and we had a short conversation. And the next day I read his comment saying, "We eat something." So he immediately felt at home. So that was like a nice thing.
Because Kaspa is everybody.
It's very lovely for you to provide kind of like a third place for the community. You know, everybody's got their home, their office, and then that other place they go to. That could be your cafe, that might be your library, could be an arcade. With Kaspa, it's the community. So we really appreciate you coming on the show today to give some time to the Mexi audience and introduce your audience to Mexi. If you would like to purchase KAS, you can find it on www.mexi.com. It's available now. If you would like to participate in one of these types of Ask Me Anythings with your own project or community, DM me. My Twitter is at MEXC_VP. You can also follow us at MEXC_NA or at MEXC_global to find out about more events and excellent projects like KAS. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time again so much. Thank you. Everybody go follow them on Discord, follow them on Twitter. Let's continue to grow this community together, and we appreciate everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much for this great interview, Andrew.
Yes, this has been a pleasure.
We look forward to having you both on again soon in this capacity or more. Cheers.